Welcome to the Instagram stories for Wednesday, December 28th. I'm your host, Daniel Hill. As I mentioned, there hasn't been a lot of new Instagram news recently. A lot of people are off for this holiday time and hopefully enjoying their time off. Hopefully you are as well. There have been a lot of developments, though, in the TikTok news arena, specifically about whether or not TikTok would potentially be banned in the United States. This is not a new conversation. It's nearly been 2.5 years since initially President Trump signed an executive order to ban TikTok. You probably remember the news at that time making quite a big deal out of this, and it was. A court blocked the White House order, and obviously President Trump is no longer in office. The United States government has focused on other issues instead. However, TikTok continues to remain a topic of discussion for U.S. government officials, specifically for a couple of reasons. First, TikTok says that it is free of Chinese influence and control, even though it's owned by Chinese internet company ByteDance. Washington lawmakers do not see it that way. 2 weeks ago, Marco Rubio, who is the most senior Republican on the Senate Intelligence Committee, was one of the sponsors of a proposed law to ban TikTok. At the same time, the U.S. Senate unanimously voted to bar federal workers from downloading TikTok on their work phones. This happened a month after FBI Director Chris Wray appeared before Congress to warn of what he described as national security risks from allowing TikTok to continue to operate in the United States. This all stems from the concern that Americans' personal data will leak to China. When I first read this as being a concern, I thought, okay, well, who cares if someone in China knows what kind of TikTok videos I'm watching? What difference does that make? And if you think about it, there are so many other ways to get data about me in the United States based off my phone from data brokers who are tracking every move that I make when I open their app, and who they're selling that data to is completely beyond my control. So who cares if someone else has it? That's one way to look at it. However, there is also a very large amount of information that TikTok can get from you having the app on your phone, including your location and device data. As it gains more popularity and more people use it, that will only add to the amount of data that it collects in the future. TikTok has proposed ways of walling off this data in facilities that can be accessed only by the employees in the United States, so therefore that could prevent it from leaking to China. But that's a tough sell to U.S. lawmakers who might be concerned that the Chinese government could overpower whatever decisions the federal government in the United States would make about the app. With that context, there is some more recent news from the Financial Times that TikTok admits to tracking a Financial Times journalist in a leak investigation. I'm going to get into that news after the break.
This episode is brought to you by Michigan Economic Development Corporation. In Michigan, you can have both a rewarding career and a quality lifestyle, with plentiful career opportunities in world-changing, innovating industries, from electric vehicles to clean energy to biotech, with room for advancement no matter where you are in your career. Plus, Michigan offers a welcoming, beautiful, affordable, and inclusive community for all. Live your best life. You can in Michigan. Visit themichiganlife.org.
And we're back. Okay, let's get into a more recent article. The New York Times published just a couple of days ago that ByteDance, which is the parent company of TikTok, had said that an internal investigation found that employees had inappropriately obtained the data of US TikTok users, including 2 reporters. Over the summer, a few employees on a ByteDance team responsible for monitoring employee conduct tried to find the sources of suspected leaks of internal conversations and business documents to journalists. To do that, the employees gained access to the IP addresses and other data of 2 reporters and a small number of people connected to the reporters via their TikTok accounts. They were trying to determine if those individuals were within proximity of ByteDance employees, so therefore they could connect where the leaks were coming from and who gave information to who. The targeted reporters were an employee of formerly BuzzFeed, now at Forbes, named Emily Baker White, and Christina Criddle, who is of the Financial Times. All 4 of the people at TikTok who engaged in this behavior were fired, 2 in China and 2 in the United States. Here's the problem with this report coming out. TikTok says they do not share US data with China, but yet, if employees in China were let go for investigating the locations of reporters, it's clear that this data sharing can happen. Senator Mark Warren, who is a Democrat in Virginia and chairman of the Senate Intelligence Committee, said, quote, "This new development reinforces serious concerns that the social media platform has permitted TikTok engineers and executives in the People's Republic of China to repeatedly access private data of US users despite repeated claims to lawmakers and users that this data was protected. It's time to come forward with that solution or Congress could soon be forced to step in," end quote. There's a lot more to these stories, but I've definitely given the highlights. I will link to where you can find these articles in the show notes. Please check it out. I would love to get your opinions and thoughts. And it's really interesting for me to kind of work to spread my wings a little bit by covering something that I don't feel very comfortable covering. Number one, because I really like TikTok and I enjoy time on it. But two, these are valid concerns. And when you watch videos, you do not realize how much data is accessible because of you having an app and how much companies can see about you because you've installed that app on your phone. Again, check out all the details in the show notes. That's going to do it for today's show. Thanks so much for listening, and be sure to come back tomorrow for more social media or other news as I can find it.
I'm not yet a member of the Instagram team, but my podcast covers many Instagram themes. But the name, image, logos are trademarks at Instagram and the LCC in the USA and every territory. Everything I publish independently until Zuck returns my DMs and starts to pay my salary. Not sponsored or endorsed, no lies, no fallacies. I use their logo with permission, not malicious or callously. No trademark violation, filling all criteria. Follow me on Instagram or Twitter at Daniel Hill Media.